Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mini Talk Show. Social media bullying is terrible. So is the bullying that occurs every day at school. As per the UNESCO records in 2019, which was issued from collecting from 140 countries, it was been seen that almost one out of every three student is a victim of bullying. As a society, what are we doing to prevent bullying? As a parent, are we giving enough information to our children to stop bullying? As school, are we taking the necessary steps to do anti-bullying programs? To discuss all these issues, today we have with us Mrs. Yashmin Datta, the professional counselor, Angelica Bora, who is a teacher as well as a mother of a student, and Mr. Dhananjali Thakuria, who is also a teacher. Let's discuss with them how they are handling this word topic called bullying. Welcome everyone to the show.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Today,
So,
today we will be discussing a very serious issue which is very popular in schools. It is called bullying. We have often seen that students suffer a lot because of the bullying factor. So I want to know exactly what bullying is all about, Yashmin. Can you just give a little bit of details on what it is all about?
yeah, if we talk about the technical definition of bullying, it is intimidation basically. And this intimidation could be physical or psychological or both. Sometimes it's a combination of the two. So, one person or a group of people will be intimidating another person. Basically, that is what is bullying.
Okay.
And there's a slight difference between how boys and girls bully. Boys are more aggressive, or they show some amount of behavioral aspects to bullying in terms of outward expression, and girls will be more what are known as covert bullies, and they will be more of like whispering to their friends and talking about the other person whom they're bullying about, not necessarily getting into physical activities as such, or physical contact, if you will. So that's a little bit of slight difference in how the two genders engage in bullying. It happens a lot in schools and in colleges. You might have read reports also. There's a lot of fatalities also coming out of bullying, which is known as ragging,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that basically that is what bullying is all about. In very simple terms, there's more to it, but yeah, this simply
Okay.
put, this is what
So,
it is.
why do these kids they bully? We are because we are right now only talking about kids. We are not talking about adults. It happens among adults also. But among kids, why does it
Right.
occur?
Often kids will copy adults or other children, or if they've been bullied themselves.
Themselves some psychological factors behind it, maybe
Right,
because of different kind of environments they come from. They do
right.
get to know from the environment sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's different for different kinds of kids. The reason behind they being bullied, they are being bullied or being bullied by others, or they bullying somebody else.
Right, right. The that is what the environment they come from. The kids who bully, often it is because they are copying the behavior of the adult
Yeah,
or the other family
but
members who are engaging in activities related to bullying. Like maybe the kid has been beaten, physical violence is involved,
Mm-hmm.
or the kid has been intimidated because he or she is a kid, and so the power differential is there. Maybe the parent or the older sibling or whoever, the person who's bullying them has some sort of power over this person, over this kid, and this kid carries it forward to say a school environment or the neighborhood, or wherever they can exert their control or and feel powerful. Because in that instance where they don't feel powerful, where they are being bullied, they feel bad about themselves. They have to feel good about themselves in some sort of way, so they carry it forward to a different situation.
Okay. And who becomes the victim of this bullying?
Uh, you will see that people who don't assert themselves a lot, who don't say no very easily, who find it difficult to say no or to defend themselves, sometimes you will see that these kinds of people will become victims of bullies, or anyone whom the bully feels powerful over. It's not necessary that there's a certain personality, who will often become the victim of bullies. But most likely, what studies have found, it is those who are socially isolated often. They don't engage with other people very easily. So it's easier for the bully to get into that kind of relationship where they are able to intimidate the person easily, right? And you also see parenting coming into the picture in terms of, say, children who are not allowed, or children whose parents make their decisions for them. So they have not learned the skills to know, okay, I should do this in this particular situation, I should react in this particular way in this situation when somebody says something to me, I should stand up for myself. So then there are issues of bullying, or they can become victims of bullying.
What I believe here is that sometimes, many a times, the students or the children, they are not able to draw a lining. Like basically, it
Mm-hmm.
starts as a fun, fun session with the friends, but they
Right.
somehow fail to realize that where to draw the line, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like they need to know that the very moment the other person is not enjoying the particular fun or prank that you're doing upon the
Mm-hmm.
other
Mm-hmm.
person, so you need to stop. But basically, being children, as we know kids how they are, so once
Mm-hmm.
when they get that attention by doing a particular act, maybe which may be negatively acting the other person, but maybe the
Mm-hmm.
person who is doing it is getting a kind of popularity, or maybe he is talked about in his surroundings, in his classrooms and all. So what they do, they at times when they feel like they are not in that limelight, so they try to grab the limelight by repeating certain activities again and again. So basically, I believe here, one thing at a very grassroots level, the student, or we also as a people, we as a person, human beings, we fail to understand that there should be a lining. Because like when you talk about having fun with our with the students, or having fun with the people around us, we need to know that when the fun is exceeding and it is going in a negative direction that is mentally hampering the other person, there should be a stop to it. There should be a stop to it. So I believe
Right.
that is the main, yeah, what I
Yeah.
believe, or what I have
Yeah,
noticed
it's
in
true,
that
because
particular
boundary
case.
setting is also important, and understanding social cues, in the sense that, okay, if I'm the bully and I see that the, or I'm making fun, and not necessarily bullying, but I'm making fun of the other person,
Mhm,
and I see that they're very uncomfortable, then I should be able to
mhm,
recognize that and stop. That's very
mhm,
right. What you're saying, it's
Mhm.
very important to
and
also teach children and model these behaviors as well, because children
yes,
often will learn more from watching us than from listening to us,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Exactly.
And
Back,
what
Understanding power should be,
yeah.
yeah.
please carry on.
Mhm.
Please carry
So
on.
yeah, what Yasmin ma'am, she mentioned in the very beginning about, in the later, in a more aged group, like when you talk about the college students, like when you talk about bullying and talking about ragging, and it is leading to many fatalities, means death, suicides, because of these certain kind of means occurrences, right? So when we talk about this thing, like if we try to differentiate the present time and like 10 years back, 20 years back, so now it's the time of the internet, right? So we have the access, and we have something that can be followed every now and then, like 24/7. Because I believe, like when like there was a time back 10 years, 20 years, like when suppose bullying or ragging, this used to happen only maybe in the campus. Fine. So once you're in the campus, someone have mocked you out, someone have physically abused you, done. You went home, your teachers invaded in, your school authorities invaded in, and the problem is solved. But now what is happening, the thing is not left up in the campus. It's going back to their homes, because nowadays, even though we have a certain age limit for the social media groups or whatever it is, but you can see students from right from class 3
Hmm.
4 using Instagrams and
Yeah,
Facebooks, and they have their WhatsApp
correct.
groups, right? And
Yeah.
now again, during the pandemic period, it is now more facilitated to them to use. So as we know that internet or what we web or whatever we're using, it's a boon, and again, if you use it wrongly, it can be
Hmm.
one of the disasters too. So
Hmm.
what I've seen, because it is, I want to share one of my recent encounters. What I have seen, they were a group of students, like they were class 12 students who had just passed out, and they had certain grudge back at school. And now what they are doing, they're trying to kind of, I will not name it, yeah, you can name it as bullying, you can name it as mocking each other, right? So what they are doing, they are doing through memes. They're making up memes. But
Hmm.
what happens, now negative criticism is not bad, it's not a crime. Fine, we can see all over the newspapers everywhere, of the political parties or many things, that memes comes up, right? So
Hmm.
it's good, it's a way of humor nowadays in the modern digital era. But again, what
Yeah.
happens when the memes become very targeted to a particular person? Because now students are more, or I will not mention the word students, now children or the kids, they are more tech savvy. So
Hmm.
what they want to express, what ma'am mentioned priorly, was more of aggressive behavior or maybe a commenting or something in that way. Now it has got a digital platform to it, and
Hmm.
so that is what they do. They make it centric to a person, and they circulate the memes maybe in the particular circle of their peer groups. And what happens, that particular thing can haunt the particular person who is being bullied, the student or the child, and that haunts him. Because what happens, earlier as I've mentioned, we go back home, it's 3 hours 4 hours, we go to our tuitions, we go to our play or whatever, came back home, had a word with our family members, so we forget what happened. So that, I believe the impact on the psychology is more in the present time, because the fact or the particular phenomenon of bullying is, it's never ending. Like when it starts, it can, the duration is much longer. So what I do believe, if you people accept with that, ma'am.
Right. It's true. The digital platform, I mean, everything has a pro and a con, and this is how it's being played out.
Hmm.
Because we get a lot of information and we can use it very effectively for our work or studying. At the same time, it's being used in ways which are not exactly healthy. So yes, what is known as cyberbullying is on the rise nowadays, and in fact, what is known as also sexual bullying. People also post new pictures of other people if
Hmm.
they've been able to
Hmm.
take pictures of them,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so that is also something that is of huge concern. And it's not something that happens only with college students, by the way. I have
Hmm.
had students come up to me when I was working as a counselor in a school. I
Hmm.
think it was class 7 or class 8 students who were telling me, man, they are posting these pictures or they are sending these pictures in the group or circulating it in WhatsApp. So that can also happen.
Exactly, here the children should know when they should take the help of the elder ones at home or the parents or the counselors in their
Mhm.
school. So the interference should come in the right time, at the right time. And for that, the children should be aware that there are so many people around them to help them actually. So sometimes
I
Right.
believe
they're
here,
so, yeah,
yeah.
they're so shy, they're not able to express themselves. So they should know that the people around can help them out.
And is it possible that
Mhm.
sometimes it was
Well,
happens? It's like back in my school days, I still remember that there used to be like among the girls, basically, they used to have this groupism. They used to stay in groups and all, and sometimes
Mhm.
one in that group is being either mocked or is been something happens, the kid who's been mocked or who's been given some insults indirectly, it's in a very friendly way they give that, but the student who has been mocked had never went out and complained it to anybody because they thought that it's a part of it. But what happened was the self-esteem, the confidence, self-confidence level had gone down in that kid. So do you think this is also sort of a bullying? It basically happens among girls because girls have this, as you have mentioned, Yasmin, that girls do have this habit of whispering and insulting indirectly, you know. So do these bullies also know that they are bullying the other person, or it is just they just do it? unknowingly. They don't have the knowledge that, okay, I'm doing something, some harm to the other person mentally.
Some people are not aware of it. They in fact derive pleasure from intimidating or making fun of the other person because maybe in other spheres of their life that so-called fun is missing. That kind it's a reward ultimately. It's a psychological reward that they're getting from feeling powerful, feeling like they can, make the other person feel a certain way with their words or with their behavior. So some are not really aware what they're doing. And I believe that those who are aware, sometimes they go with the group also.
Hmm.
So there is the group effect, so to speak, right? And they will say, if I, or they will think that if I were to stop in this, activity or how I'm bullying the other person, I might be kicked out of the group. So I'll continue to do it. That's also a possibility.
That's very right. What ma'am was talking, what ma'am is talking about, I believe, ma'am is talking about peer pressure. Fine. So again, that
Mm-hmm.
like as we know that the basically the young minds as they are in an adopted stage. So what happens? They adopt more from what they take it as a fad. Like what they think that suppose because of this particular reason, I am not being a part of the group. So maybe what they are doing, if I do the same without judging whether the action is right or wrong, so rather just to follow, so just to become a part so that I myself can be spared from what I'm suffering right now. So maybe that I can do on
Right.
someone else along with these people rather than I being the victim here. So here
Right.
and
Ma'am,
again, I what I yeah
yeah, please go on.
yeah what yeah yeah so what again one study ma'am right before she was mentioning about the students coming to the parents or the teachers or whoever and discussing it in a very clear manner. So what I believe is that here we need to also change the perspective of parents or as teachers ourselves also, because what happens yeah, it's good in theory but it's very hard. I do deal with
Yes.
my kid and I know yeah, so that is practically very hard that we try to be friends but many a times we do something that is bullying itself, like don't do it, I said you
Mhm.
can't do this, right? So
Exactly.
what it happen, yeah, because yeah, the philosophy and practicality is a great difference,
Very
because
true.
I learned something back in my school. Yeah, I learned something back in my school time. I had two of my friends who were Christians, and one of them was not that very not that very religious one and was more into mischiefs and all. And I saw that person, he finished his Bible. He really finished reading his Bible. And I had other bedmate of mine in the hostel. So he was very calm, quiet, and he was more of a what you call as a model student or a model person. So he read just few pages of the Bible. So I just asked him like, why is that? I have seen that other guy, he had finished the entire Bible, but you are more of a person who are certain norms and you follow certain guidelines. Why you have not finished the Bible? So he said me that I'm not trying to just read it and complete it. I'm trying to apply what is there in the Bible. So the pages that I've read, I have applied in my life. So what is not read, I have not yet applied. So there is, so what why I somehow brought down that particular thing here is that we have a lot of guidelines, we have a lot of philosophies, and many times we end up giving a lot of suggestions. But the main question is that how far we are adopting to it. Because
And
I
that people,
yeah,
yeah. That there
so
comes
I
the part of the counseling because parents, teachers, everybody should get counseling regarding
yeah
this.
yeah.
So,
They're
ma'am,
comfortable. Yeah.
coming to you, ma'am, I just wanted to know, like, do you discuss about bullying with your child?
Yeah, I do definitely do. When she was a student of class UKG one, I started talking to her about it, and I made it easy for her. But whenever she was in a situation where she should come and speak to me, she used to do, and still she continues to do that. I try to be a friend with her. I'm like a friend. She considers me her best friend. I don't know about personally. I'm talking about myself as a parent. So she often opens up her mind. So whatever has happened with her, and by the grace of God, any big kind of incidents have not taken place till now. But let's
But
suppose I don't remember exactly the class. In class one, I think Uh, One of her friends used to always every day put water into her tiffin. One day she tried to manage herself. The second day also she tried to do it herself. But the third day, when she was not able to do anything, she came and told me. Then I talked to her class teacher, and I like that I sorted out the matter.
But does she still
I
now?
think here,
But ma'am, does
Yeah.
she still discuss about this topic of bullying? That
Yeah,
whether
yeah, yeah.
somebody in the
She has
schools.
often told me, yeah, yeah. She has talked about one of her friends being bullied by another, of one of her friends. But it was kind of, it get a bit taken as like fun, not that serious matter actually. So they used to make fun of another one. So all of them interfered, and then they solved the matter themselves. So as
So,
friends, they helped the other one. Yeah,
so basically, they have just they were being able to solve it
sorted out the
all by
matter
themselves.
themselves. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so coming
I
to
think one
you,
point I want to highlight
sure.
here,
Mhm.
sorry,
That's
about
okay.
parental involvement in a child's life, how important it is to have that conversation or keep the lines of communication open at least. You know,
Yeah, that is very
checking in with the
important.
child from time to time. That's
Mm,
very, very important. And
mm.
I mean, as
At least one
parents,
parent, whoever, yeah,
right,
like
right,
times the girl or the boy is comfortable with the father, other times with the mother. So I think at least one of them, they should be like, they should make the kid comfortable to speak
right,
everything in front of them.
right. And often dinner table conversations should involve certain things like these because the child should be
Mm.
able to understand that these are topics that are okay to be discussed with the
Yeah.
parents.
Mm, mm,
So
mm,
kind of normalizing these
Yeah, not
conversations
tabooing
and
certain things. Yeah, not
right,
tabooing
mm,
right,
certain things.
keeping them
Yeah,
open and
yeah,
things
open.
that they can talk about,
Mm,
not things that
mm,
you hide or what will my
mm,
parents say if I report
mm,
this to
mm,
them. So
mm,
the
mm.
normalization, keeping the communication lines open, this is very, very important from the parents,
Mm.
doing that.
So at the beginning, like when I believe, like when the kids are opening up, like we as parents or teachers, we need to be very less judgmental. We cannot judge them.
So
So
what
we
are
need
the
to be
what?
open. Yes, ma'am, please.
No, no, please carry on.
Yeah. So basically, what I was saying is that we need to be less judgmental, and somehow we need to be more empathetic
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that we need to really put a particular helmet that help us to analyze that why it happened, why it really happened, or what are the factors behind this happening, rather than just
Mm-hmm.
jumping over them and like why you have done that, you must have done something that
Mm-hmm.
otherwise this would not happen. Fine. Or
Yes.
like at times I've also seen certain certain suggestions made where like, okay, fine, if she's doing this to you, why don't you repeat the same to the other person? Because it happens, we as the elder members of the society also, we are also engaged with so many things. At times we are been filled up, so at times we do not have time to listen what really the child is going through. So rather we just give a particular judgment, or we just tell that, okay, fine, don't do this, or stay away. The basic comment that comes is that this is all problem, don't get into these problems, stay away, rather than intervening and knowing about the thing, and trying to cooperate and go, and at times it's good when parents come up by themselves, have a word with the school authorities. Fine. And again, as ma'am in the very Yasmin ma'am was mentioning in the very beginning, that when you talk about learning, when you talk about behavioral learning, I believe it's the first school is home itself. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
So the way of the whether if he or she have seen that the home atmosphere is such that they can be open, there is no tabooing about anything. Fine, you have a curiosity about a particular thing, you're facing certain problems, you can be open. So I believe that if that particular behavioral development takes place in the very early stage, so I believe in a later stage also what will have, they will be not having that fear to open up. The main problem is opening up. So so in that matter again, what I again like to bring an end to what I started here is that we as parents, we as teachers, facilitators, or the members of the society, so when something of such kind cases comes to us, so either if we don't have time, we ask them that, okay, fine, come a bit later, and we'll listen out to what you want to say, and I'll give my particular perspective, my point of view regarding your situation. Or or if you have time, do it now and then. But not having time, just you want to, finish, to close the matter and just give, without listening the entire scenario, just give a particular suggestion. So I
We
believe
should
that needs to be
we
changed.
should basically
There should be,
do all the effort to at least listen. We should bring out
yeah.
the time to listen. Yeah. Coming to
Yeah.
you, Yasmin, I
Mhm.
just wanted to know what are the risk factors of bullying? How does it affect a child when he or she has been bullied?
The child may, in fact, if they're not able to talk about it, right, that they're being bullied or someone is doing something wrong with them, then they might really go into their shell and they might continue to experience bullying because they have no idea about standing up to the bully. So the cycle may continue and continue to an extent where there have been reports of even small kids jumping to their deaths.
Yes,
I was reading one.
I was
Mhm.
going through I was doing a bit of research, and when I was checking out
Mhm.
the news from different newspapers, it's very shocking
Right.
because a small kid, as small as 11-year-old kid, has committed suicide
Mhm.
because
Right,
of.
because they were not able to cope with this anymore, and they had no way of talking about it with anyone who they thought would understand and be able to help them, deal with this. So there have been instances where kids have committed suicide. They have gone ahead and taken their lives, and also if they have, not taken this fatal step or the ultimate step, then you will notice that the child who is being bullied will start doing badly in school. Their grades will start to drop, and they will also start to miss school. I remember one client who had, I mean, the parents had come to me. This was in school, so I talk about client as in the student, and the parents were telling me, school যাব নোখোজে, ৰাতিপুৱা উঠিব স্কুল নাযাওঁ. And often the kids will complain about, I have a stomach ache, I have a headache, or some other complaint, physical complaint mostly, to avoid school. Or sometimes they might be able to say, "Mo kunda jukaise," or something like that. And today I don't want to go. But every day they will have some reason for avoiding school. And they will also start talking about suicide. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them will. To For those who are really affected by this, then yes, you will see that they will be also hiding their injuries if they've been, beaten. There's some physical aggression. They will hide those things because they're not able to explain what's happened to them. They don't know how to go about explaining it. If the parent or the person finds out that they've been injured, again they've not been, able to explain why that has happened with them. They also start decreasing their social contact with friends and other people. Say in the neighborhood, they go and play sometimes. That completely stops. I know of an instance where one child who is an early teen, about 13 years old or 14 years old, and he became so withdrawn that he started a virtual existence, so to speak. He became very engrossed in a virtual, what should I say, avatar, and he would spend hours every day playing games online. And now, people can make their own identity or whatever it's called. I don't know what the term is, but they get very involved in that. They try to remove themselves from the reality because the reality for them is very painful.
Mhm.
So it's not just withdrawing socially in terms of staying in the room itself, but to an extent where they have created a virtual existence of their own. These things can happen with children.
Sir, coming to you, you must have we are aware of this guidelines that has been issued by CBSE in 2019 due to the rise of bullying in schools. That it has become mandatory to set up a committee, anti bullying committee in schools. So, how far is it successful in schools? Are the schools maintaining those guidelines, or they are doing their
Yeah.
own way of handling it?
Yeah, basically what we do as per the guidelines, like you need to make a combined committee where you have a teacher or the vice principal and the management representative along with doctors and counselors. So we do not exactly have the same model, but what have been done back in our school is that we have split it out the process. So basically, whenever such any cases comes up, so first the students, we from time to time it has been informed or it has been circulated among students that whenever you face certain problems, please make sure that you open up and come to your class teacher or maybe the teacher in charges. So once the matter comes to this particular persons at a certain positions as the teacher in charges or the class teachers, so it is taken up by the disciplinary committee, so which at times is reviewed by the principal itself, and later once we if it's the matter is not it's not very crucial, so it is tried to be dealt within the class itself. But when it is seen that there are many repeated cases, or when we are seeing that the person who is being bullied, the victim here, he's getting he or she is she needs support or she needs certain counseling because she have been affected. What we do, we refer the particular child to the school counselor. So we have two in-house school counselors for that. So what talking about the particular circular that came in, so we have the entire requirement that they had asked for, so the school is following that. But not exactly how they have asked for a combined one committee, rather we had splitted it out. And like we try to deal at the school administrative level or the teachers level at first. And when we need that, no, we need professional help here, because we again have certain limitations, because we might not be able to interpret or really know what is going within the child as far a counselor can, as they are professionally trained for that. So later, in the later part, yes, we do transfer those cases to the counselors. So yes, we are following the model, but not the exact model that they have highlighted. Seeing what is flexible for us, so we are doing in that particular way.
So, are you also providing counseling to the parents of the victims as well as to the parents
Yeah,
whose students are bullying
yeah.
others?
Yeah. Basically, once what happens, certain cases happens. So obviously, when the act has taken place, the person who is active or who have who have committed the particular action, so obviously his parents call is done, or parents are being informed about it. So as I pre-mentioned it, if it's not it's not a very big so suppose it's like, as I have mentioned in the very beginning of the meeting, that at times students, they just fail to make the difference between making having a fun or having a prank or really what is bullying. So at time at the very ground level, we try to just counsel the student, because after all, again, that is a student too, who have, that the victim is a student itself, again the person who have done the particular activities also a student, fine. So maybe who got influenced, or maybe somehow who had a wrong version of this particular activity of bullying. So we try to, at the very beginning, we try to solve the issue by counseling one to one, informing the parents at times. But again, when it is repeated, or maybe when the degree of bullying, it can be from just a simple mockery to certain grievous issues that Yashmin ma'am have priorly mentioned about, right? So depending on the degree of the particular bullying, so and the impact, we try to communicate. Yes, obviously parents are being initiated, but again, whether they'll be called or whether we try to, again, there are we have this discipline diaries where the record is maintained, so that in the later period, again, if the particular act is committed, so we can show that, see, this was a warning given to you, or this is recorded, this is not the very first time, because many a time parents also and the students also, maybe it's after 4 5 months 6 months, they try to deny it, that no, this was not happened. But there we also have a record to show that yes, see, this thing happened and this is happening again. So anyways, that is a very initial part I am talking about, but later it's the counselor's room and the counselor, so I believe they are very well tackling with certain particular issues. Yes.
Coming to Yasmin
I
ma'am,
want to jump in,
huh,
with two things here. Piggybacking on what Nansara said, the Supreme Court also issued a directive, judgment in May of 2009, and after that, all universities and colleges, they have this rule that parents have to sign an affidavit that
exactly.
if their child is engaged in bullying and they have been found out, right, they lose their seat.
Yes, yes. We had
Simple as
that.
that.
We
There are
had
no
that
two ways about it.
because when I was in college in Bombay, so we used to have to sign those affidavits. Our parents has to sign that affidavit.
Right.
It was
So
very,
in May
it was a very serious
2009,
issue.
the Honorable Supreme Court has issued this judgment.
Okay,
So
that's
this has to be
informative. That will
followed
obviously,
strictly for
obviously
colleges and
that will be.
universities.
So
So I think for at the school level, this might be a little difficult to implement because losing a seat is quite a drastic step. Of course,
Just imagine that.
bullying is no small thing. But
Mhm.
yeah, and another thing, talking about counseling the person who is bullying another, it's very important because if the person is left to their own devices, then there have been instances where they have gotten into criminal activities later on,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
as juveniles or as adults. So it's important for the person also to be counseled that they
Mhm.
start realizing what they're doing is not correct, is not something that they should be engaged in. Because if left unprocessed or left like that, it can escalate into something more, what should I say, more serious than bullying.
A
and
step
what are
ahead, they
the
might go to the next level then.
Yes, might go to the next level.
Next level.
and what are the long-term consequences of bullying?
One of them is this: the criminal and more grievous behaviors as compared to bullying. They can get engaged in that. Persons who bully, I'm talking about them. And another thing, at the personal level or at the work level, they're unable to maintain relationships because they will always want to get an upper hand, right? And in relationships or in personal relationships or work relationships or any sort of relationship, a sense of equality is always desired. So if a person starts bullying or starts saying that, oh, you do this, and the deal, and then the person finds it difficult to maintain that relationship because the other person might say, just forget this, I'm not, or pack your things and give in your papers, it's not going to work. So that can also happen, right? And for the person who's being bullied, if the thing has not been processed, I mean, we've already mentioned things like, suicide. If not suicide, then low self-esteem will continue into adulthood, and it can also turn into depression, which can be chronic because again, depression may not be something that the person is aware of or people around them are aware of, and they don't get treatment for it. Then they can also start getting into other, what should I say, unhealthy habits. Some have been known to try and asserting some control over their lives by being promiscuous also, right? And I mean, I've already talked about students missing school and all that. But getting into dangerous behaviors also can be one of the things that the person might get into to feel like they're in control of their lives. Because being bullied, they don't feel in control of what's happening with them.
Ma'am said, like again, I also mentioned the very beginning part that once the person who are bullying, so once they do it and they get that limelight, or it's many times that when someone is mocked at, so maybe the other people, they take it as fun rather than seeing what particular stage or the mental stage the person who is a victim has been through. So as I say, ma'am have been mentioning, and like in the priorly, I have also mentioned the same thing, that what happened when the person who is bullying, so when he gets the limelight for that particular act of his, so if he's not tracked, so So what will be happening is that he will be more encouraged to take the next step,
Mhm.
because he already got the limelight for what he have already done. So he knows like what happens. It's a human psychology. We try to do better and better, right? Because we know that okay, fine, we have come to this level, this is done. So we got this limelight. So we know that we need, if we need a bigger limelight, we need to do something better, fine. So maybe the better in a negative way if we talk about. So it is again very important to check the person, also or the particular student or the ward who have done the particular action of bullying. So that is also very important.
Uh, Coming back to Yasmin ma'am again, I just wanted to know, uh, I, are you being bullied, or is anybody here among our guests being bullied here? Do we feel shy to say that yes, we have been bullied once upon a time, or we have bullied
Okay,
somebody?
okay, in the lifetime, okay, or we have bullied.
Over my lifetime, yes,
I
I would say yes.
what
And
I
maybe the degree wasn't so great that, it had an adverse effect on me, but yes, I was bullied because I'm an introvert basically, so I wouldn't really mix a lot with other people. So that has happened before. It's not something new. But I think also because I had support in other areas of my life, so this hasn't really affected me that badly, thankfully. If I
And
was a bully myself, maybe, because I've grown up as an only child, so maybe those things also make a difference. And I might have gone to school, or because I've been bullied, that effect could have been that I wanted to exert control on somebody else, so I might have don't do this or something like that, or but I don't think in when we were growing up, the culture of rumor mongering or the culture of groupism was that strong as it is now. I don't believe that existed so strongly at that time. I may be wrong, but that is my perspective. So, yeah.
like agree to what Yasmin ma'am said, that what I wanted to say, that when you talk about bullying, now the thing is that the parameters are the horizon is quite broad. Like if you talk about bullying, yes, I do bully my child kind of every day, like asking him to do a particular thing or not to do it. But again, here the difference comes is that when we see that no, the child has been affected, he is making sad face because of my threatening or whatever it is, so we go and try to console it. So that is what missing in real bullying. So the
and ma'am,
intention is, yeah, what I feel. And again, what I believe, that the impact of a person who is getting bullied, I believe that's again on the mentality of a person. So how, as Yasmin ma'am was speaking about, like she didn't take it seriously. Even me, like it's not that back in college, like I took it more as a fun. I do remember an instance where my when I went to Delhi for my first year in graduation. So some of the girls from Assam itself, who were my senior in the department, so they came up to me and they said, come on, you need to sing a song. So I said, please don't ask, let me to sing a song. So, but she wanted. But what I did, basically I intervened and I somehow took them to nearby the office of the principal, and I started shouting and singing. And basically the principal and authorities like came out, why you're singing out here? Then I was asked to by the seniors. So by the time the person were bullying, so they were out of the scene. So it's again why I gave this particular example is that how you take a particular situation.
handle it.
So the students who are, yeah, because you will be seeing certain part that the one person is bullying the other person will do the same thing. Fine, he will find his own ways to take to give a counter. Now the thing becomes a problem when the other person is more on a receiving part rather than reacting. Fine, because I believe in that part somehow an eye for an eye is not too bad at times, I believe, if I talk about in that particular way. In a lighter note,
So,
yes.
Angelica ma'am, this question goes to you also. Are you being bullied, or have you ever bullied somebody in your lifetime?
Definitely. Yeah, because I have never bullied anybody. But being bullied was like, as Yashmin ma'am said, it was kind of fine. So not in such serious note, it never happened. But we were able to tackle the situation. Whatever was there, we took it as fun, and everything settled there itself. It was not like in such a serious note. It was kind of a fun amongst the girls. Or I studied in a co Boys were also there, but everything went easily. So our days, I think, as Yashmin mentioned, was a bit different from what the students are going or the children are going through now. So serious kind of bullying never happened in my life.
Right, the
Well,
intensity has definitely increased.
yes. Well, when it comes
There's
to
a lot of
me
Definitely
violence
increased.
asking me if I ask myself, have I ever been bullied? Yes, I had been bullied very badly in my school days, frankly speaking, because of which I got into depression during that time. My self-esteem was down, and it was very painful for me because I used to feel very lonely. And being the youngest in the family, and I had a vast age generation gap between my parents as well as my siblings, so it becomes very difficult for me to express my issues to my parents or my brothers or my sisters. So yes, I had gone through a very bad phase that way. Anyways, it's a wonderful discussion we had, a very serious issue. This is a very serious issue. And I think we as a society, we as parents, or we as teachers or a counselor, we have our own particular set of roles to play as regards to bullying. So thank you everyone for joining us for this session. We are running out of
Thank you,
time, so
Binashi.
we need to
Thank you.
end up this session. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
dear viewers, it is we have this opportunity to be with a teacher, a parent, a counselor, and discuss the impact of bullying on a child. So it's a request to everybody to come forward, put a step, and try your level best to prevent bullying in your school, in your area, wherever you see it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.